Welcome back to the Back Basketball Preview presented by Hercules Tires. We're going to be talking GCU women's hoops on the live stream right now. And we're going to welcome in the new head coach for women's basketball program at GCU, Molly Miller, along with freshman Katie Scott. Ladies, can you hear me?
We can. Can you hear us?
I can, yes. How is everyone?
We're doing well. Katie, she got a nice morning workout today, so she's probably a little bit more awake than the rest of us, but that's all good.
Katie, I want to start with you, actually. You played post. You also played point guard in high school. Where do you feel most effective?
That's a tough question that I get asked all the time and haven't really determined a great answer for. I think that I am going to fit best wherever I'm needed. I think that's always been my specialty, is just filling the spot that's desired. Whatever the team needs is just what I want to do.
Coach, you don't have positions listed on the roster. What's the idea behind that?
There's really no method behind that madness. I just need to figure out where every player fits in the system. Kind of one of the nice things about our system is we're pretty positionless. So, the way we fly around on defense, the way we play in a motion offense, it's like you could be on the perimeter or you could be down low. You could be rotating to a guard. Katie could guard a point guard sometimes if she had to at their rotation. So we are a little positionless, but I'm sure we'll figure out kind of, where everyone kind of belongs in the system the more we get into games and practice.
Coach, a lot of players want to know, what's that non-conference schedule looking like? What can you tell us about it?
Gosh, that thing has been a working document for about 5 months now, it seems. But, we're narrowing in on some things. We need some contracts signed, with the COVID situation. Always, it's very fluid. But hopefully in the short term here, we're going to get something on paper and get it out. We've got a few more holes to fill, just communicating back and forth with some teams. But I'm anxious for it just as much. So trust me, that we're trying to get that one out to everyone and find finally our complete schedule.
Katie, you were the Gatorade Player of the Year, in Missouri. You commit to play at Drury with Coach Miller. Then she comes to GCU. How hard was it to make the decision to follow her?
That was probably the toughest decision I've made in my short 18 years of life, just because I'd found a really comfortable place and I knew a lot of the girls, but I also knew that I would always regret not trying it. I have a lot of faith in Coach Miller, and it's already paid off, and I know that I made the right decision. But at the time, it was very stressful, especially in the middle of a pandemic, not being able to visit. It was just a super stressful situation, but I'm happy that I made the decision I did.
You said it's already paid off. Why has it?
Just ever since I've gotten here, everything that I've been told about the school, the program, Coach Miller is true and so much better than I could have imagined. The girls have welcomed me with open arms. I didn't know what to expect, but I've been so happily surprised by the girls that are here, and I love all the coaches, and it's really a paradise here, so I couldn't ask for anything better than beach weather in the middle of October.
So you're telling me that you like the weather a little bit better than in Missouri?
Yes, I like that it's a little bit more predictable than Missouri's fluctuation.
Coach, what about for you? Are you enjoying the weather more?
Oh, yeah. Both Katie and I came and we were like, we go to a resort every day. There's pools and palm trees on campus. It's like, I walked out yesterday. It was perfection, that weather. I'm like, if I have to deal with a little bit of warm summers, I can deal with perfect weather for the next 7-8 months for sure.
Coach, a lot of people also talk about your defensive game and the way you handle and approach different teams. Why do you think players enjoy the system that you have?
I think that's something new to latch onto. In high school, you've got, the stars of the team like Katie, and their coaches are worried about them. Like, you can't foul. We need you on the court. So that aggressiveness is probably pulled back a little bit on the defensive end. And so I've opened their eyes to a whole new style of really getting after it, be aggressive, be a huge impact, not only on the offensive end, but the defensive end. And it's really fun to see the buy-in and kind of that pay off. And my teams in the past have loved a defensive play more than an offensive play. I mean, you'll see the bench erupt on a charge. And don't get me wrong, we love a good and one and a 3-point splash. But when we're getting steals and buckets, and when we're rotating out of traps, and we're there for charges, and we're making hustle plays, tip from behind, or getting our hands on a loose ball, then that really excites us. And just to see that buy-in on that end, because a lot of kids haven't been exposed to this type of level of defense, is really inspiring. I think you get inspired by each other when you're playing that style, but it's also going to pay off. It's a true statement. Defense wins games.
Katie, coach mentions that buy-in. How easy has it been to do that?
Coming from a high school where I played zone for 4 years, it wasn't the easiest thing, and it's still a work in progress for sure. But I think it's a lot easier whenever you have a coach who can get down and get in a defensive stance lower than most of our guards. They're very active in teaching us and making sure that we understand the concept and the why, and not just telling us to do something. We really do understand the intent and the effect, and it's paid off whenever we do some of our short scrimmages. It's not fun to play against ourselves because that defense is annoying. So just imagining how that's going to be to enact on other teams is really fun.
Coach, 180 and 17, top percentage among active men's and women's basketball coaches. What extra pressure do you put on yourself to succeed and continue that record?
That's a good question, because I am super competitive, like a lot of coaches across the country. Obviously, you hate to lose, and every day you want to work towards that goal of winning and winning a lot and cutting down nets. And I think we've developed a pretty good recipe to do that throughout the years. It's just taking it at a place like GCU and having the kids like Katie kind of buy in. And she's one of the freshmen in the rotation that are going to see rotational minutes. I mean, they're going to make an impact on this team from our brand of basketball. So just establishing that culture and that winning attitude, I hope that they can feel that from me, and that starts from the top down. But yeah, it's something we do, it's something we expect, and it's something we come into work every day preparing to do. So you can't just snap your fingers and all of a sudden expect to win and cut down nets. We're going to put the work in, and I think our kids have really appreciated that, and obviously they've kind of taken some ownership in that as well.
What do you believe is the number one reason that you've been able to get games in the win column year after year?
Well, Katie said I can get down and get in a stance with the best of them, but she's being nice. I'm a has-been, so I've got to surround myself with people that can do that. So I've just put, really, really good players on the floor and good people. We recruit some character kids first, and it's really easy for me to be able to coach someone who wants to be here, who wants to win, who exudes kind of that competitive nature. They're good students, they're good people. So, I've got a great staff too. Holy cow, I feel like I've got the best one in America. So you put good people around you and they make you look good. It's funny how that works. So I guess selfishly, I just recruit players like Katie and get staff that we all have the same aspirations and the same goals, and we'll put our arms around our kids at the end of the day, and we're going to push them also. And I think that's a really good mix that we found a success. To Katie's credit, she lets me coach her. And man, I tell her the second I stop talking, that should be worried. And I coach her up a lot. I'm pushing her past her limits, because I tell her I don't want her to be one of those typical freshmen that just get their feet wet their first year. Like, I want her to play and make an impact. So I'm pushing her out there on the floor, but I think she'd be the first to tell you that I'm her biggest cheerleader and want her to succeed the most. So just having that kind of culture around your team, that's what breeds the success.
Katie, you are a freshman in a pandemic. What's been the hardest part about that?
The adjustment has been hard on all levels, academically, athletically. The social aspect is different. You can't exactly make too many new friends whenever you're supposed to stay 6 feet apart from everybody. So I'd say it's been a compound thing, and I'm not trying to complain because I know so many people have it much worse than me, and there are much worse situations to be in than, like I said, in the middle of a little paradise. But I would say it's been difficult. That normal freshman stress has just been amplified by the situation. So I think that it's definitely a unique situation that I'm going into, but it's also going to make me tougher for the following years. And it's going to be easy, I think, compared to this, because it can't get much harder than a pandemic, can it?
Absolutely. Let's hope it doesn't get any harder. And how can you take on that leadership role as a freshman and help the other players on the team?
I think we are at a bit of a shortage of girls right now, but we've always been about whoever steps up, steps up. It's not about age, it's not about experience. And I think that we have so many girls who are working hard and filling spots that we weren't anticipating, but I think that it's made us tougher as a team. And every person has their own niche, every coach has their own niche. And we're all responsible for a little bit of that teamwork, a little bit of that leadership. We all have something to bring to the table that we can inspire others with. And that's just, I want to do whatever I can to help my teammates and my coaches.
Ladies, thank you so much for the time. I'm now going to send it over to Michael Navarrete for media questions.
Thanks, Rachel. We'll get it started. Go ahead and Kyle McDonald.
Molly, this is Kyle McDonald with WAC Hoops Digest. I wanted to ask you, when Grand Canyon came calling to bring you down to Phoenix, what were your thoughts? And, how do you feel about the high expectation that they've set with regard to winning and winning right now with the resources they put into their basketball programs?
Yeah. Hi, Kyle. I hope to meet you soon in person, but I'll be very candid with you. My first thought was I remember those commercials from high school. And, being from the Midwest and literally living in Springfield, Missouri my whole life, this was stepping out of my box. So I didn't know much about Grand Canyon, but then I talked to the administration and our AD, Jamie Boggs, who, oh my gosh, just a rock star in our field. President Mueller, who has so much faith in our athletic program and gives the resources to make us successful. The more and more I learned about Grand Canyon, the more and more that it just fit who I am, not only as a coach, but as a person. So, I think my faith is really, really important to me, and that kind of sets the foundation for what we do here at GCU. And the resources and commitment to athletics that the president has given in the school is phenomenal. So, Rachel and I hit on it earlier. I want to win, and I want to win bad. That fuels me. And I think we can do that here. So I'm just excited to be a part of it. I know they expect to win, and I wouldn't want anything less of an expectation when it comes to doing my job and forming a kind of renewed women's basketball program to compete in this conference and win championships. That's their goal. That's my goal. So perfect match, right?
Richard Obert.
Yeah, hi, Molly. Just wanted to ask you about, you see the preseason polls picked up, finished third by the coaches and sixth by the media. Does that add to extra motivation for you because you're so used to being first all the time, coming from Drury? I mean, what does that do? Or do you have to just kind of, just take it with a grain of salt, or do you use that as motivation?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'll spare you the fired up conversation that Katie and I just had, but you use those things to fuel you and motivate you. But at the end of the day, they're preseason rankings. This is a new team, some new faces, a new brand with a new coach. So it's just that, preseason rankings, and that's what they mean. We haven't played 1 minute. We haven't tipped up the ball. So, at the end of the season, that's really where you want to be in terms of, the respect you garner to. And for us, we're just kind of a big question mark unknown right now. So our proof is in our pudding during season and during game time. So we hope that we can turn some heads in the WAC, and hopefully we can make a splash, but TBD on where we end up, and so I think it is a great challenge and a great opportunity for our kids.
Thank you.
Back to Kyle McDonald.
Katie, I wanted to ask you, you guys are a little young, at least the roster is kind of young. I mean, there's 2 grad students, but everybody else is an underclassman. You're a true freshman. I mean, where's the team chemistry at? You talked about it a little bit earlier, but how does that make you guys a little bit better where you get to grow together and go through the growing pains of a pandemic as you prepare for a season with a lot of youth?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question. I would say that it would be a different situation if, we had an established coach, but everyone here had a brand new coach, brand new system. So we're all forced in a situation where we're learning something brand new together. And I think that that's really strengthened those bonds between us, because we've all had to do some major adjusting, and it's been uncomfortable, but we've grown through it and we've become stronger people, stronger players. And I think that it's shown on the court. If you would have compared us back to when we first got here, June, July, versus now, it's been day and night. And I think that a lot of it is just we've all had to work together to, kind of adjust to this new system.
Paul Cora?
Molly, you bring new players into your system every year, but how much more challenging is it for you as a coach when you are trying to do that with every player?
Yeah, it's kind of fun and exciting for me, because I almost get kind of this renewed sense of energy, because typically you have to kind of bring the freshmen along, and there's this kind of like a group effort in that with your returners and your coaches. It's making me a better coach right now, honestly, because I've got to get everyone on the same page with little help from the players. Fortunately for me, I brought 2 assistants that know the system very well, that have coached with me in the past, and Coach Ragsdale and Coach Shield, and then Coach Rise just picked up on it like that. So, my assistant coaches do a great job of implementing that system also. But like Katie said, everyone's kind of a freshman right now, which is fun for me, but it also challenges me in new ways to get my messaging across, because I have to be very specific in my details. Katie mentioned it. I'm always telling them the why. We'll stop and explain things a little bit more than normal, instead of just watching the senior do it in a rep. I've got to teach we don't have any seniors, but I got to teach the junior or the graduate transfer how to do it in a rep. So that stuff has just made us kind of focused and narrowed our focus on some more specific details, which is great for a coach to kind of refine that tool set too, and mass teaching, if you will.
Back to Kyle.
Molly, you talked earlier about recruiting character players. I want to ask you about Chloe. She's a track star at Kansas, and now you're expecting her to jump on the floor and play some basketball. I know you said it in the article written by Paul that she has basketball blood in her, bones. So how do you judge that character, and how does Chloe, fit that mold that you're talking about?
I'm telling you guys right now, that is one of the best decisions that I've ever made, is to bring Chloe a part of this program. Some people would think, okay, you took a leap of faith. She hasn't played basketball in 5 years. But, when she stepped on campus, there was a light about her that she brought. And I think the girls gravitated towards her nurturing spirit. She is one of the nicest kids you'll ever meet, probably has never met made an enemy. And the kids just really respect her. So she's going to take that leadership role for us, no matter what her role is. And the funny thing is, I applauded Chloe from this. I was like, if I was a stranger coming in and watching us play, I couldn't pick you out of not playing basketball for 5 years. So she's got a lot of heart, a lot of effort to her game. But I think even beyond that, she's just a person that's a glue kid. Coaches talk about glue kids all the time in programs, and Chloe is just that for us. So she's been a real treat to get to know, and I'm so excited that she is a part of this team this year. And just her ability to, I think, develop relationships and bonds and trust amongst her teammates is really going to be big for us.
Back to Paul Cora.
Katie, what's this system bringing out about your game that you hadn't done before, or that you didn't realize was in your capabilities?
Yeah, whenever you're pushed at such a fast pace, you kind of realize you can get those transition layups. You can make that extra move. You can get that rebound. It really does bring out a lot of those hustle plays in you. I remember we were going over some film, and the ball was a good 10 feet out of bounds, but me and one other girl were just, racing to go get it, because you do want to make that effort whenever you feel that it's being reciprocated from your coaches. The style of play is very much reflective of, the energy that we have in practice and we get from our coaches. And I think that it shows on the court.
Okay, Grand Canyon head coach Molly Miller and freshman Katie Scott. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.